And another scam in Hong Kong involving a cryptocurrency platform. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Hamas is set to release 14 more hostages on Saturday in exchange for Israel freeing 42 Palestinians as part of a 4-day truce deal. On Friday, 24 hostages were released by Hamas while Israel handed over 39 Palestinians. In addition, 10 Thai nationals and 1 Filipino were released on Friday, with Israel allowing hundreds of aid trucks into Gaza. On October 7th, Hamas attacked Israel, resulting in 1,200 deaths, prompting Israel to hit back with a bombing campaign that has killed 14,000 Palestinians and reduced Gaza to rubble. Nasri Karim with more.
A Hamas fighter carrying a young hostage onto a Red Cross vehicle in Gaza. Next stop, Israel. In the West Bank, a convoy of buses bringing home Palestinians who had been held in Israeli jails. And all over Gaza, the bombs have gone quiet. The 4-day ceasefire has begun, and so has the exchange of prisoners. Israel in kind has released the first 39 Palestinians of 150 from its prisons. More hostages and prisoners are expected to be swapped on Saturday and over the following 2 days. For the 2.3 million people in Gaza, the truce provides welcome, if temporary, relief. The truce can be extended by 1 day for every 10 hostages released by Hamas, Israel said. Safe from bombs raining down on them, the Palestinians also now have this: humanitarian aid trucks. 200 trucks filled with relief supplies and medicines crossed the Rafah border from Egypt. This is in addition to 4 trucks of fuel and 4 carrying cooking gas. Since October 7th, Israel has largely prevented fuel, water, food and medicines from entering Gaza, with the exception of limited fuel required by UN agencies. US President Joe Biden praised the leaders of Qatar and Egypt, as well as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, for securing the truce deal, while renewing a call for a 2-state solution for Israel and Palestine.
Today has been a product of a lot of hard work and weeks of personal engagement. As we look to the future, we have to end this cycle of violence in the Middle East. We need to renew our resolve to pursue this 2-state solution, where Israelis and Palestinians can one day live side by side in a 2-state solution.
Netanyahu said Israel is committed to the release of all hostages and reiterated his vow to resume all-out war with Hamas after the truce. This is one of the goals of the war, he said, and we're committed to achieve all the goals of the war. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Families of hostages released by Hamas and Palestinians freed by Israel are overjoyed that their loved ones are coming back. But celebrations were tempered by the knowledge that the war may resume in just a few days. Nasri Karim again.
This is the moment the first convoy of Red Cross vehicles crossed into Israel carrying freed hostages. This is Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, an area in the city given the name because of the vigils and protests held here since October 7th. For some of those waiting for their loved ones to be released, joy is close at hand. Roni Haviv is excited to see her 9-year-old cousin Ohad, who along with his mother and 78-year-old grandmother were released by Hamas on Friday.
I'm waiting to see Ohad, and I can't wait to give him his Rubik's Cube, which I know he really loved, and he probably missed it so much. And that's the first thing he takes everywhere he goes.
This Israeli man, Yoni Katz Asher, is about to be reunited with his wife and daughters. He said he is happy to have his family back and he's allowed to feel joy as well as shed a tear. But he added that he's not celebrating and will not celebrate until the last of the hostages returns. In the occupied West Bank, crowds celebrated the first batch of 150 Palestinians arriving home from Israeli jails. Sarah al-Suwaisa said she suffered humiliation and psychological torture in prison. She said she was suffering from the cold without electricity and no one helped her. Only Hamas cared, she said. Another released prisoner, Fairuz Mahmoud al-Bo, said freedom is not complete until the last prisoner in the occupation prisons is liberated. She added her feelings of joy is clouded by sadness because of the massacres committed by the Israeli occupation against her people in Gaza. Thailand's Foreign Affairs Ministry on Saturday released the first images of its nationals released by Hamas. The ministry said the group of 9 men and 1 woman are now at a medical center in Israel for health checks. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Qatar has been playing a key role in the negotiation for the hostage exchange between Israel and Hamas. NBC News reports from inside Qatar's rescue operations room.
Tonight, NBC News, inside Qatar's hostage release operations room, monitoring today's truce at the end of what the lead negotiator describes as an intense day.
It's a good day today. We made a very good progress.
And there's hope tonight that a number of Americans will be freed soon.
If today we didn't see Americans from the list, I remain hopeful that the upcoming days we will see the release of all citizens under the women and children category.
The administration has been very keen to see the American hostages released, including, of course, a little girl, Abigail Mouradan, who's 4 today.
Of course, it matters to us to get all of the U.S. citizens out.
He says the number of releases this weekend may exceed expectations.
We're expecting 10 people. We were surprised today that the number of releases has reached up to 24, which is a very positive development.
Hostage taking is on the rise around the world, and Qatar is playing a larger role as mediator.
What worries me is that there are other groups around the world who watch this and think they should take hostages as well.
But despite their freedom, the captives likely face a long, difficult road ahead.
And I think anybody who assumes or hopes that life is ever going to go back to exactly how it was before is in for a rude awakening.
Jason Rezaian was the Tehran bureau chief for The Washington Post. In 2015, convicted by Iran of espionage. He spent 544 days in captivity, for a time even in solitary confinement. Freedom took some getting used to.
The hardest thing was getting used to choice again after having my ability to make decisions taken from me.
Some of the smallest hostages could face the biggest challenges.
I think that those kids will have experienced something that it will be very difficult, impossible, for them to put in any kind of context.
Israeli health officials, meanwhile, have issued guidelines on proper and safe treatment of returning captives. Psychologist Neil Greenberg says these first days and weeks can be difficult and confusing.
Over time, if they have good support, then most people begin to sort of recover and get to some sort of steady state again.
The IDF today releasing video of their preparations to receive the returning hostages, showing rooms full of medical kits. Food will be especially critical since the hostages, including the little ones, will likely be suffering from some level of malnutrition. 24 have come home. Many more remain in captivity, their loved ones waiting for their turn for some good news. Keir Simmons, NBC News, Doha.
In his first full interview since being appointed foreign minister this month, David Cameron defended the pro-China policy he maintained when he was prime minister. He insists that the right thing to do is to engage with Beijing. Cameron said China is key to resolving issues such as climate change. However, he said in the interview that he supported the British government's realistic, hard-headed policy towards China. He said engaging China is one part of the approach Britain needs to take, not least because China is a fifth of humanity, he said, and we're not going to solve challenges like climate change unless we engage. With the JPEX case still unresolved, police suspect another cryptocurrency platform has been scamming residents. This time, the platform is called Honax, which has been accused of defrauding residents into cryptocurrency investments with promises of high returns. Police received reports from at least 131 individuals, with their losses totaling over $110 million. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Hong Kong has been hit with yet another case of suspected cryptocurrency fraud, just a few months after September's JPEX scandal. The suspected cryptocurrency platform is called Honax, but the Honax website was still operational as of Saturday afternoon. Its mobile app is also functioning normally. But some of its social media pages have been taken down. Police said the scammers would impersonate investment experts and initiate contact with victims via social media before inviting them to join group chats. The scammers would then claim to share investment strategies, promising returns of up to 40%. When the victims showed interest, they would be asked to download fake investment apps where they would open new accounts to transfer money. But when account holders tried to redeem their investments, the platform rejected the request with various excuses, sometimes charging victims a handling fee of up to 80%. The police said none of the victims had met the scammers in real life, and investments were all transferred to suspected stooge accounts. Police noted the 131 reports they received involved victims aged between 19 and 78. One such case involved a 69-year-old woman who was defrauded of around $12 million in June. The police said the platform began operations early this year and mainly targeted locals. Authorities have already asked telecommunications service providers to block Hunax's website, with the Securities and Futures Commission having already included the platform in its alert list. Residents who wish to make investments are reminded not to trust messages from strangers on social media. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Police Commissioner Raymond Siu said authorities are rolling out more anti-fraud measures to tackle a rising trend of fraud cases. He emphasized the need to increase residents' awareness of such incidents. For instance, some fraudulent websites recently emerged claiming to be travel agency EGL Tours, as they sell items ranging from hotel room rentals to buffet meals. Police recorded around 30,000 fraud cases in the first 3 quarters of this year. That's an increase of over 50% year-on-year. Siu said several measures have been launched, include the Anti-Deception Alliance, speeding up the ability of banks to share information, and stopping acts of fraud, as well as the faster payment system fraud alert set to come out on Sunday. The passing out parade was held at the Hong Kong Police College today. This marks the graduation of 25 probationary inspectors and 95 recruit police constables. Commissioner on the Interception of Communications and Surveillance Wally Yeung inspected the ceremony as the reviewing officer and handed out the Brian Slevin Trophy and the Silver Whistle. In his speech, Yeung said graduates should continue to uphold the rule of law and help maintain Hong Kong's prosperity and stability. Still ahead, Chief Executive John Lee honors residents for service to Hong Kong. A look at how Indonesian banks help domestic helpers better manage their money. And a worrisome rise in theft and robbery targeting shops in the U.S. Welcome back. Chief Executive John Lee was at Government House this morning to honor residents for their services to the city. Senior officials, business and community leaders, as well as veteran journalists and rescue team members were among the more than 400 recipients of this year's honors list. The ceremony was held at the Government House.
Grand Bohemia Medal.
Grand Bohemia Medal, the highest accolade under the government's honor system, was given to 5 people. Executive and Legislative Council member Jeffrey Lam, Timothy Falk, president of the Hong Kong Sports Federation and Olympic Committee, former president of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University Poon Chung Kwong, Lam Shuk Yi, honorary president of the Hong Kong Federation of Trade Unions, and entrepreneur Si Chi Ching.
Gold Bohemia Star.
Among the 10 awardees of the Gold Bohemia Star are Deputy Director of the Basic Law Committee Wong Yuk Shan, Raj Sital Motwani, who led the Indian Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, as well as officials, lawmakers, and those who have contributed to Hong Kong's youth development and education sector. 28 people were named for the Silver Bohemia Star. They include Director of Immigration Au Ka Wing, Kenneth Lau Ip Keung, head of Hong Kong's rural body Heung Yi Kuk, and Albert Wong Song Hao, former judge at the Court of First Instance. Also receiving the honor were professionals from the journalism field. Mei Chan Suk Mei from Commercial Radio was awarded the Gold Bohemia Star, while Yun Chi Wei from TVB News received the Silver Bohemia Star. There are also 41 recipients of the Bronze Bohemia Star. Government Flying Service Air Crewman officers Sito Chi Pang and Lui Ka Ching were awarded the Medal for Bravery Silver, commended for their courage, selflessness, and commitment to duty during a high-risk rescue operation when Typhoon Chaba hit Hong Kong in July last year. They rescued 3 survivors from the wreckage of a sinking vessel.
Medal for Bravery. Bronze 我小輝先
The
生。
Medal for Bravery Bronze to citizen Ho Siu Fai, also the only recipient of the Bravery Medal not from the Discipline Services. That's in recognition of his noble act of great courage when he tried to stop a knife-wielding attacker using 2 stools at Plaza Hollywood in Diamond Hill in June. A total of 403 awards were handed out this year, less than half the number last year. Chief Executive John Lee thanked all recipients for their contributions to Hong Kong. And there are about 140,000 Indonesian domestic helpers in Hong Kong, serving as the backbone of many of the city's families, while earning a better living to support their own families back home. But some Indonesian helpers and their family members have trouble managing their money. With that in mind, 2 Indonesian banks in Hong Kong have been helping their countrymen become more financially savvy and not fall prey to debt, scams, and other forms of financial ruin. As a 5th part of our Connecting Indonesia series, we spoke with the 2 banks' representatives and the beneficiaries to understand more about the efforts. Atik has been in Hong Kong for 20 years working as a domestic helper. Every month she sends money back to her family in Indonesia. When Atik returned to her home country after completing her first contract here, she was met with disappointment and with her dreams of buying a house in her hometown dashed.
I go back home around 2 years after. The money all is gone because them don't know how to save money. I thinking after I go home, the money I can buy home, right? But after that, oh, the money all is gone. This cannot during about my dream is not come true because no money. Then after come back here Hong Kong again to work again to save money again.
Atik says she has also heard cases involving fellow Indonesians in Hong Kong swindled in romance scams or riddled with debt. With that, 2 of Indonesia's biggest state-owned banks have been working to help their countrymen in the SAR better manage their hard-earned money.
Sometimes the other family member, they don't have any job in Indonesia maybe. They fully count on domestic helper here. It is our moral obligation as well here as a representative of Indonesian bank to assist the domestic helper here to well educated about the banking transaction.
We try to educate our domestic helper to have like a basic financial awareness, financial planning skills in Hong Kong. So once they come back to Indonesia, they're ready to have their own business and also they are more financially ready to manage their financial.
Apart from financial education, entrepreneurial training for migrant workers is also offered. They include Ika, who said she's grateful that the staff here recommend that she save some $4,000 out of her $5,000 monthly salary as startup funds for her dream, setting up a shop back home selling baby clothes. Atik has also bought 2 houses and is planning to start a small business back home. Apart from banks, free financial literacy programs are available for migrant workers at these nonprofits and NGOs in Hong Kong. Both Indonesian banks' remittance branches in Hong Kong are open 7 days a week, including Sundays. This as they hope to accommodate the days of Indonesian domestic helpers. Jackie Lin, TVB News. The U.S. has kicked off the sales season after Thanksgiving, but the shopping spree is happening under a cloud as protesters converge on malls and retail theft and robbery surge. This report from NBC News.
Tonight on one of the busiest shopping days of the year at one of the busiest malls in Los Angeles.
Free, free, free Palestine!
Pro-Palestinian protesters marched through the Grove before blocking a major intersection outside. And at a mall in New Jersey, a bomb scare forcing shoppers to evacuate before getting the all clear.
Merry Christmas!
This as the holiday shopping season ramps up.
Shopping, shopping, shopping. We love shopping.
And as police prepare to combat fears of retail crime.
Consumers can expect to see an increased presence of high visibility patrols.
Law enforcement cracking down after the retail industry reports losing $112 billion last year, in part from these brazen, often violent smash and grab robberies.
They just smashed and grabbed. They pepper sprayed me on my eyes and my mouth.
Probably about 75,000 people here today.
Stephen Craig, who owns the Citadel Outlet Mall in LA, says several stores here have been hit by organized theft.
What's the impact on the businesses?
What's huge? You know, you walk into a Coach store, you steal $10,000 worth of bags and run out, and it reduces their profitability.
The law enforcement presence is visible all around here. That's on top of 24/7 private security, undercover cops, and high-definition surveillance cameras patrolling the area.
Shoppers on edge and staying aware.
Like, I don't carry like a big purse. I just carry this. Again, be aware of our surroundings.
Tonight, police coast to coast vowing to be on high alert to ensure a safe shopping season for everyone. Liz Kreutz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.